Good evening, and thank you for taking a few minutes out of your Good Friday to join me. Last night, I told you that I love to think about the perspectives of people and what they see. And several years ago, I found 3 monologues of 3 different people with 3 different perspectives of the crucifixion. Now, I didn't write these monologues, and I can't give credit to who did because I don't know, but they are something that have stuck with me for several years now. And in such a time of uncertainty, I thought it appropriate to share them with you. Last night, we heard the perspective of Mary, the friend of Jesus. And if you missed that and you're interested, I'll post a link to that, or you can look for it in the same place that you found this YouTube video. But tonight, I want to share with you a different perspective, a personal perspective. And this is the perspective of Mary, the mother of Jesus, a mother in grief. As a mother, I can think of nothing worse than watching your child die. Please join me in hearing what Mary might have been thinking. There are so many things I wanted to say to you, my son. I always thought I would have time, and now it's nearly too late, so I'll say them now. I was so young when the angel Gabriel appeared to me and told me about God's blessing upon me. I was confused. I just didn't know how it could be, how that could happen. And I guess I was a little worried too, worried about Joseph and how he would handle it. It seems now that all of that was a lot for a teenager to handle. I look at the young girls in Galilee, ribbons in their hair and laughter in their voices. I can't imagine that I was ever actually that carefree, that I was ever that young. I feel so old now. When I look at you, I see the little baby that you were that I held in my arms the first time. I was so tired. Your father and I had traveled by donkey to Bethlehem for the census. It was an uncertain time, scary and tense. Your father tried to not show how nervous he was, but I could tell. And when we finally got there, there was no room for us anywhere. He was almost at a breaking point. I know I was. He apologized so many times when he led me into the barn, but I didn't care. I just needed someplace warm, someplace quiet where I could lay down. I was in so much pain. I couldn't concentrate on anything else. But that pain, it was nothing compared to now. When I first became pregnant, I said to Elizabeth, all the generations would call me blessed. I'm not so sure now. I never told anyone about the day that we presented you at the temple. We've heard what the prophet Simeon said about you, that you would be a light for the revelations to all the Gentiles and for glory to all the people. And you have been, my son. Your kindness to the outcast has drawn people to you and in you. People have seen the face of God. But it also drew unwanted attention, anger, and hatred. At times, I'll admit I wanted you to be a little quieter, a little more cautious around the Pharisees. You could have. You didn't always have to provoke. You didn't always have to speak the truth, did you? And yet, I know that doing that softening your words or backing down, that would have made you a different man. Do I wish you were a different man? How could I want that? You are the hope of Israel, the hope of all mankind. What I never told anyone was that Simeon said the sword would pierce my heart. It would pierce my soul. I never knew what he meant. But I know now, my son. I know now. I always wanted to protect you from pain. I hated every bruise and scrape. But I couldn't protect you from pain when you were little, and I was helpless to stop the violence that was inflicted on you today. I felt the lashes that fell on your back. The back I used to wash when you were a little boy. I screamed until my throat was raw at those who hurled awful names at you, the Son whose name I whispered daily in my prayers. I wept when they crushed the crown of thorns on your head, the head that I kissed goodnight every time I put you to bed. But when they drove the spikes through your hands that I held as we walked down the road, I felt the sword pierce my soul. I stand at your cross now. There are no miracles this time. The light has gone out of my life, even as it is draining from the sky. All generations will call me blessed, but I'm not sure how. What a torturous and hard day that had to have been for Mary. It's always how I've seen the crucifixion of Jesus. The mother that had to stand by and watch. You know how it is if you're a parent. You know that there is little that you would do to stop someone from hurting your child. Yet Mary can do nothing. I always thought that Mary probably wanted to look away and couldn't bear to watch, but she also couldn't tear herself away. We always talk about the sacrifice that Jesus made, which, don't get me wrong, is the most important sacrifice that's ever been made. But when we take a step back and we see a new perspective, we realize the sacrifice that Mary made too. The mother of Jesus. She suffered right along with her son. And it's a lesson for us, friends. Jesus suffered for us so that our sins would be forgiven. And when we look back, we take just one step away from that. We see the sacrifice that was made for us by the ones that loved him then, too. And we shouldn't waste that. I hope that you will join me tomorrow night as we read one more perspective of the cross. And this is the perspective of a stranger. And he actually might be the perspective that, for me, carries the biggest message for us. Good night, friends.